Alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today, and I'm bringing you another questionnaire. But I am not alone, as I am joined with...
Hey guys, it's Duct4pe from Comic Corner. How you
Yes,
doing, Qaaman?
yes, Dtape will be joining me in my first questionnaire today. So without wasting any more time, we're gonna get into a bunch of questions. We went back to around a month ago because we feel that it's better to give a lot of you who've asked your questions from a while back a chance. And then, as a matter of fact, in future questionnaires, as I'm gonna do this a lot more often, I'm actually gonna go back even further to the point where I'll be answering questions from so long ago that you probably even forgot you asked them. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video. So Dtape, read the first one.
Alright. What if Trunks was almost killed like Goku was when he fought Vegeta when he first came to Earth, and Bulma's instinct/mother instinct told her Trunks was near death? How would she find him? How are Trunks and Bulma's bond?
Okay. This is a pretty good question. Or say your thoughts first, Dtape.
She wouldn't know anything about it because he went to the past and she didn't have a child yet. There's no motherly instinct to be had.
Well, I'm kind of confused what he means. What if Trunks was almost killed like Goku was when he fought Vegeta when he first came to Earth? Because when Trunks first came to Earth, well, I mean, technically he was always on Earth. When Trunks came to the past, I guess you can say, you know, he came, you know, once Frieza was there, and, you know, he basically wiped him out. So that's why I was kind of confused what he means when Trunks was first there. However, if you're talking about when he fought against the androids and the androids beat him up, that's different. I personally think that Trunks and Bulma have a huge bond. That's why Trunks was, like, severely beaten by the androids. And Bulma made that joke saying that you don't even know if you have legs under that blanket. So I personally think that Trunks was definitely very close to his mother, and I think she can sense danger. So, to some degree, but, I mean, there's no direct answer to it. Alright. Alright, Dtape, take this one too.
Well, if you could go into any anime, what would it be? Oh, that is a good one. I'd go into Hunter x Hunter.
Why?
Because I want to be a hunter. That looks so cool. Just the fights in it. For me personally, Hunter x Hunter's fights were on. They gave me that feeling that I had watching DBZ as a kid. They're that level.
Well, you know, obviously you guys would probably take a guess. If I could go into any anime, I would go into Dragon Ball Z, get the Dragon Balls, wish for immortality, and wish for my own planet that would never have any type of meteors or any type of villains ever even knowing about it. Because I would not be a fighter, guys. I don't want to live on Earth if I live in Dragon Ball Z. I'm sure you would agree, right, Dtape?
Yeah.
Would you want to live on Earth?
I gotta change my answer, because if you're going to get Dragon Balls, maybe we could... You can censor things, right? Yeah. You can censor things in editing?
Yes.
We can wish away that Dragon Ball Evolution movie.
Anyways, moving on to the next question. If Goku never hit his head as a child and stayed with a full Saiyan mindset of destroying the planet, do you think he would survive long enough on Earth for his brother to pick him up years later? Make sure you factor in his monkey transformation in his base human form. Well, he has no base human form, but I guess you mean base Saiyan form. James Harris. I'm sorry if I forgot to shout out the people previously. If your names were on, I didn't even notice that. But I actually did a video with Rhymestyle that I'm going to upload soon about this. But essentially, long story short, I think it depends on what exact age Goku was sent to Earth. Because Blackenfist will tell you that if you look at the actual manga adaptation of Goku being sent to Earth as a kid in Dragon Ball Minus with Gine and Bardock, it looks like Goku was a toddler when he was sent to Earth, which would mean that he would probably, you know, have some strength capabilities as a Saiyan, and he would kind of be a lot more sapient of how to survive and eat on his own and stuff like that. If you send Goku to Earth as a direct baby, I just never understood that in Dragon Ball Z, how a complete infant can take care of themselves for years. Like, I understand you could have been programmed to do certain things, but despite how that is, a baby of whatever race is a baby, you need to be fed by people. Like, when I was 2 months old, I couldn't, eat. I didn't know how to eat normally without somebody feeding me. I didn't know how to clean myself. I didn't know how to do a lot of basic functions. Would you agree, Duct Tape? What could you do at 2 months?
I couldn't do anything. My body hadn't developed yet.
So what did that mean? Our parents had to take care of us.
That means Goku would have been dead maybe after like a week.
Yeah, that was always something I never understood, how sending babies to planet works. So I definitely think if he did survive, maybe, Grandpa Gohan took care of him, but if he does survive, it would have to be because he was old enough to be a lot more sapient than the anime adaptation made him seem. And, if he did survive, I doubt he would be able to beat a lot of the stronger characters in the series like King Piccolo or any others without formal training, considering the fact that Goku was not that strong without the formal training anyway. So that's just my honest opinion.
You know what you just said? It actually made me think. They've been sending babies out across the universe for the longest time. What did they think happened?
I don't know. That just never made any sense to me. It just doesn't. But that's another topic for another day. All right, let's see. Why does Goku have to become a Super Saiyan to lift 40 tons? Note this happens in the manga too, so it's not filler. If it did happen in the manga, please tell me where, because I have the manga volumes. If it was in the manga volume, it would be in the Dragon Ball Z volume. It would have to be split in between volumes 20 and 21, and I honestly don't remember that happening in the manga. So if it did, please let me know. I don't think he needs to turn Super Saiyan to lift 40 tons. That was something that was created as an argument by Screw Attack to support, Goku's endurance and all that. But honestly, in my honest opinion, I just think it's filler, and I just think that it was just a good training sequence for filler purposes. Alright. Duct Tape, take this one.
Alright. What happened to Chow Chow? What happened to Chow Chow? It's like no one remembers he exists. My YouTube name is Malachi Rock. What? That last part didn't need to be in there, but whatever. Whatever happened to him? I haven't thought about him in so long.
Duct Tape, please inform me or inform our audience, because I don't know who that is.
Isn't that the little cat? Not even the cat. Little blue cat.
That's are you from Dragon Ball Z, or is this from something else? Because Poor is the only blue cat I know from Dragon Ball
Z. Then I've got my names mixed up, and that means no one actually does remember whoever that is. So.
I honestly don't know. Please say so in the comment section. I don't remember who Cha Cha is.
I made a mistake. So.
Alright, which is stronger, Super Saiyan God Vegeta or Build's martial arts teacher? I think he means Bill's or Beerus. Build's martial arts teacher. I think Super Saiyan God Vegeta, because he didn't go Super Saiyan 2 or 3, so he in Super Saiyan 2 would be the same power as Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, considering he was Super Saiyan 1 and still beat Super Buu easily. I have been on the record saying I don't think Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta would be stronger than Super Saiyan 4 Goku from Dragon Ball GT, because I'm saying if both universes exist in parallel to each other, I'm not going with the canon non-canon thing, I'm saying if they're both continuations, it doesn't make sense for Vegito in the Buu Saga to be stronger than Super Saiyan 4 Goku in GT, because considering the fact that they've said on multiple occasions that Goku's base form in GT was stronger than his Super Saiyan 3 form in Dragon Ball Z, that would make me believe that his Super Saiyan 4 form would be astronomically higher. You gotta factor in that 10 years after the events of Dragon Ball Z is a lot of time, and considering that GT takes place even after those 10 years, supports more that Goku is way stronger than what any character would have been in Dragon Ball Z, including Vegeta, because so much time has passed. What was strong back then is completely irrelevant now. I mean, look at how weak Majin Buu was in Dragon Ball GT. I mean, he was like basically nothing compared to, baby Vegeta, and Fat Buu was actually pretty strong in Dragon Ball Z relative to other characters. So I personally think that Super Saiyan God Vegito could be stronger than, I guess you could say Whis, if that's the name you're saying, but I definitely don't think he would have been stronger than Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Alright. Can you come out of the closets? What? No, guys. I am... If you're trying to make a joke, I am sexually attracted to females. I'm not gay. Duct Tape, do you have anything you want to say?
No.
Yeah, this guy's obviously having fun. And you're fun. I'll just delete the question now. Alright. What if Vegeta killed Cell with the final flash? Well then, if Vegeta killed Cell with the final flash, then Goku and Vegeta would have come out of the hyperbolic time chamber. They would be like, okay, there's no Cell. Piccolo and the rest of them would have not gone back into the hyperbolic time chamber to train and, you know, gain even a little bit more power. Trunks would just go back to his future and the series would end there. That's actually a pretty interesting question, though. I doubt Vegeta would have been able to defeat Perfect Cell with that blast. Just my honest opinion, because I think if Perfect Cell was aware of how powerful it was, I think he would dodge it. That's just my honest opinion. Some people could say he was cocky, but I obviously disagree with some people. But personally, it would just basically end the series right there. I don't think I could do a whole video on that. I mean, Boo would come around. They would probably kill Boo, considering the fact that I've done many scenarios in which Goku stayed on Earth. And because Vegeta wouldn't have had as much animosity to fight Goku as he did originally, I don't think they would have wasted time fighting against Babidi and his men. So I think that's generally how I think the series would have gone. Boo would have never gotten released, and Cell would be dead. Alright. What if Turles from Tree of Might came a 10 before Gohan died and had a kid with Bulma and him and Trunks trained together? How do you think that would affect the show? I don't know what he mean came a 10.
I don't either.
Does he mean 10 years?
I have no idea.
I think I know what he's trying to say, Duct Tape. I think he's trying to say, what if Turles came like 10 years before Gohan died in the history of Trunks timeline and had a kid with Bulma and him and Trunks trained? That would actually be... That's actually a pretty interesting scenario. I highly doubt... Like, if Turles comes to Earth, number one, he's a bad guy. Why would he come to Earth? Because the androids have destroyed so much of society, like, it's not the best place to grow nutrients. Maybe it still is. Maybe a lot of Earth's natural life is still around and the androids just destroy primarily cities. Even though it's implied that they destroyed both, because a lot of the rural Earth would have not been destroyed, and a lot of Earth is rural. So, if he came 10 years before Gohan died and had a kid with Bulma, I mean, considering that he would be a nice guy, which I doubt, if he and Trunks trained together, that would definitely create a relatively strong training partner for Gohan, Trunks, and himself. And I think that would have definitely changed the series. How much, I can't tell you, because we don't know how strong that child could be. But considering the fact that in the manga that Trunks could turn Super Saiyan before Gohan died, I definitely think if they trained together, it would have made a big difference. In the long run, if Gohan doesn't die. Alright. What if future Trunks returned in GT? How would that affect the show? That's very difficult to answer because there's so many different points. If you were more specific about at what point he returned, that would help me out, because he could return at any point. He could return during the Super 17 arc. He can return during, you know, any other point. I mean, and also considering the fact that future Trunks' timeline is actually naturally ahead of the main timeline, we don't know how much time passes in his timeline versus when he decides to come back. It's a little bit irrelevant, even though my alternate timeline theory does cover that the amount of time that passes in his time does not have to match what happens in our time, since it's already in the future. But essentially, my point is that I think if he came back during the Baby Saga, he could have made a big difference. I definitely think he could have been one of the characters to help, and I think he would have been very interesting. I kind of don't like how he just went back to his future and never came back, but maybe he died, who knows. But I definitely think depending on the time period, he would have made a difference. In the Shadow Dragon Saga, he would have made no difference, and against Super 17, he wouldn't have made a difference either. Alright. Would the series change if the Z Fighters had spent time in the hyperbolic time chamber before the Saiyan Saga? Duct Tape, what do you think?
I think some of the members of the Z Fighters wouldn't have had their asses handed to them like so often.
I mean, if you really think about it, Duct Tape, it's kind of implied that the hyperbolic time chamber is very, 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 very difficult to train in, considering the fact that Goku and Gohan, Goku, who was a Super Saiyan, and Gohan, it took a lot of stress on them at their advanced strength in the Cell Saga to train in there. So considering the fact that, you would put characters from like the Saiyan Saga, I don't really think they would have been strong enough to last. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, they did say Goku lasted like a few weeks when he was a kid, or a month or something, but, I just honestly don't think they would have been able to last the whole time. But if they successfully stayed, they would definitely have made a difference. I think the weakest, I mean, I guess you could say if future Gohan in the future went in that Hyper Black Time Chamber, I think that would have been a much better or more realistic way to interpret this. What do you think, Duct4pe?
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, if they're not going to survive long, there's no point in actually going in.
Yeah.
If you're going to die.
It's really difficult to train in. Alright, take this one, Duct4pe.
Alright, would the series change if the Z Fighters had a chance to spend... Oh,
this one. It's what if Bulma.
What if Bulma was Gohan's mother instead of Chi-Chi? Would Gohan's personality be different? And would this affect him becoming a fighter like his dad?
What do you think?
I think Bulma would have made Gohan a bit smarter than, he is. Like, she's a scientist. She would have gone about his education a bit better than his mom, than Chi-Chi did. Because Chi-Chi was on him constantly. Like, the world's ending, you better go study.
Duct4pe, I think that's really interesting what you bring up, because when I look at this, if you look at Trunks as compared to Gohan, I mean, we don't know if he's not the scholar that Gohan was, but in terms of intelligence, Trunks seems to be way above average in terms of what he's able to do. So, I mean, it's more implied so in GT, but I mean, Trunks seems to be very intelligent for his age, considering that he's Bulma's child. And also considering he'd be the CEO of Capsule Corporation in GT. I mean, so because of that, I definitely think that Trunks has a lot more natural intellect than Gohan. Gohan has to study to be as smart as Trunks, but Trunks is just like around geniuses his whole life within his grandpa and his mom. So I think because of that, I think Trunks obviously could have trained more with, Vegeta and stuff. So I think if Bulma was Gohan's mom, I think that would have actually been beneficial. I mean, he would have trained a lot more with Goku, and he would have still had the intellect, and also financially, we know how well they would have been off.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, that means I'm actually uploading a video in the future about the wealth of Dragon Ball Z, so I hope you guys stay tuned for that. Alright, take this one, Duct4pe.
How come Vegeta didn't become stronger when he ate a Senzu bean after fighting Cell, and when Trunks gave him one during the Cell games? Doesn't it... I don't want to say anything stupid, but like, doesn't it just fix your injuries? Like, doesn't necessarily make you stronger, does it? Like,
well, in most cases, Duct4pe, yes, but because you remember the whole Zenkai concept, that when a Saiyan gets injured and he heals and he comes back even stronger. That's essentially what this person's asking. He didn't mention the term Zenkai boost. Personally, I think Vegeta could have become stronger after he ate the Senzu, but they probably just didn't mention it. They stopped mentioning Zenkai boosts in Dragon Ball Z after the Frieza saga, but theoretically, I still think they take place. I think they just don't mention them, but just because they don't mention them doesn't mean they don't happen. So I personally think that Vegeta still got a Zenkai boost, but it just probably wasn't mentioned. And, characters just didn't really care as much about it. But considering the fact that Cell got a Zenkai boost, still implies that the whole Zenkai concept was still intact in the series. Alright.
Actually, Qaaman, I got a question for you.
Yes?
What would happen if I put Senzu beans in my chili?
Moving on to the next question. Hey Qaaman, what if future Trunks comes back? Just for no reason, he came back and the present Z fighters told him about Frieza. And what if instead of reviving just Frieza, they revive King Cole and Cooler, but they all get power boosts? I'm kind of confused. What is he trying to talk about? Fukatsu no F? Because I mean that's the only thing I'm assuming. Because he says just reviving Frieza. I'm assuming he would come back to I guess you could say Fukatsu no F. So I'm gonna take your question as Fukatsu no F. I think, honestly, I personally think that King Cole and Cooler are stronger than Frieza. Cooler's not canon, but if you consider him a part of the, you know, legitimate series, if Cooler and Frieza were around, I don't understand why they would bring back Frieza instead. I mean, I would think they would want to bring them all back, and considering the fact that you can use the Earth Dragon Balls to bring back more than just Frieza, you can bring back King Cole and Cooler. We don't know for sure because there isn't enough about the movie that's been released, but I mean, if they all come back, it would definitely make a lot more of a difference if Future Trunks was there to actually help with the situation. He could be there to fight alongside, to fight a lot of the other henchmen that could have been causing problems and stuff. So I definitely think he would have been a great addition to this upcoming movie, considering the fact that he's basically been gone from Dragon Ball Z since he left. Alright.
Want to get the next one? Or the next
Duct4pe, you need to take this one.
Alright, did you see the most recent death battle, Kirby versus Majin Buu? If so, what's your opinion on the outcome and their analysis?
Our outcome is in, well actually I've done two 20+ minute videos on this, so there's about 40 minutes of me doing this video. I actually did I've done this with 4 different people. I did it with Blackenfist, I've done it with Thundershot, and then I also did it with Rhymestyle and Dtape. So basically, I was in 2 different videos. One is on my channel, which includes me doing it with Blackenfist and Thundershot, and the other one's actually on Dtape's channel. Please check his channel out in the description below. We shared our thoughts on the whole thing, so honestly, there's no point in like reiterating what we've said in 20+ minutes. Supersonic versus Beerus and Whis. Dtape, please take this one.
Sonic. Yeah, probably Sonic. I mean, the whole reality bending crap. He's too powerful. He's overpowered.
Well, the thing is, Dtape, I looked through my Sonic versus Goku video, and Nitro's he actually asked this question before I released that video, considering I released the video like 4 days ago, but I personally agreed with some of the things that Jesse said if he's talking about the Archie comics. But if you're talking about the Sonic from like the games or from like Sonic X, because he used Archie comics and they were saying in the comments that Archie comics is not canon. So if what they're saying is true where it's not canon, I don't know enough about Sonic to say. But if we're going by the regular Sonic from like Archie and all of that stuff, Beerus and Whis would like roast him for fried hedgehog.
Right. I mean, I've only ever really read the Archie comics. There was this shop at the airport. I just pick up just a bunch, but I never really watched Sonic X.
Right. So I mean, basically, if we're going by that, then if you're going by Archie comics from what the insane things that Jesse said he had for powers is true, then I have to go with Sonic. But if we're not going by Archie comics, which is what I kind of base my general view on Sonic on, I think Sonic is basically fried hedgehog. Alright, let's see. What's the name of the song in the beginning of your videos? Okay, let me tell you something. I have had so many intros. As a matter of fact, Dtape has made me like 2 intros in my entire YouTubing career.
Yeah, like way back when, before I started my channel. So
this basically means, what video are you talking about? Now, in my most recent video, it's an 8-bit version of Solid State Scouter, which was created for me by a subscriber called Kame Ruler. But prior to that, I've used military march themes, I've used Mortal Kombat theme songs. I mean, I've used so many different songs. There was even a song, I don't even know what the intro name was, but Dtape made it. So, honestly, this is all completely dependent on which intro video you're talking about. But my most recent one is an 8-bit Solid State Scouter. What if Gohan never got his potential unlocked on Namek? Well, they would have been completely screwed, because if he didn't get his potential unlocked, he wouldn't have been able to fight against a lot of the guys or hold his own as much as he did. So I definitely think that if he did not get his potential unlocked, they would have been screwed. And to some degree, you could even say the same thing about Krillin. Alright, read this one for me, Dtape. I'm sure this is...
La Falala.
Anyways,
okay, the answer to that is 5.
Alright, don't know much to say about that. Moving on. How strong do you think Super Saiyan God Vegeta would be? I kind of already answered this earlier, Nitro. Super Saiyan God Vegeta, I think, assuming that Toriyama said that Beerus's power would be a 10, Goku would be like a 6, and I think he said Whis would be a 15. That would mean if Goku and Vegeta fused, and it's obvious that fusion doesn't multiply, it like scales your power level even way beyond that. Considering the fact that Goku and Vegeta's power level doubled in the Buu Saga would have been like nothing compared to how strong Buu was. I think that if you look at it from that standpoint, there's no way, like, at all that Super Saiyan God Vegeta would have not been stronger than Whis, but I can't give you a direct answer because, you know, the whole concept of comparing villains kind of makes it difficult because we don't really know how strong Whis is. But I just say if we're going by 6, if we're going by 10 and 15, I would think he'd be stronger. Alright. Daffy Duck versus Donald Duck. Duct4pe, please.
Daffy Duck wins. He's way more violent.
How?
He's gonna kill him.
What about Donald?
Donald, from what I remember, he wasn't that violent. He was always childlike. I think Daffy, how many times has Daffy been shot at and all that stuff? Like, he's going to pick up a gun and accidentally kill Donald Duck, and he's going to be like, that wasn't part of the script.
I completely agree with you. Daffy was definitely a lot more aggressive. Alright, let's see. Zarbon. Yeah, he's a light green character from the Namek Saga who had a monster form. A little bit, he was relatively flamboyant and he got killed by Vegeta in one of the most gruesome ways in the entire series. Alright, do you play any Pokemon? Do you think any Pokemon could beat the Egyptian gods from Yu-Gi-Oh? No, they're cards. You can't compare. They're holograms. Okay, I guess if you're counting them as like real objects, I'd say the Egyptian gods would destroy them. I mean, they're gods.
Yo, you know what would be a good fight? Slifer the Sky Dragon versus Rayquaza.
That would be true. But then again, there are some Pokemon that are like godlike, like Rayquaza, Arceus, all of that. But that's actually a pretty interesting question. Can any Pokemon be Egyptian god cards? The only reason is because if we're going by the show with holograms, just shut off the hologram and it's the end of the story. But that's an interesting question,
like,
Nitro.
Have you seen how many times Pikachu has destroyed machines?
That's true, but these are gods we're talking about. Alright, let's see here. What if Tien went to Namek and finished the fight with Vegeta instead of Krillin? Okay, I wish Blackenfist was here right now because me and him have had one of the biggest debates ever. We debate who's stronger between Krillin and Tien, and I still think Tien is stronger, and I still think there's more information to support it. He thinks more information to support Krillin. But we both have our honest arguments and opinions, and I think that if he went to Namek, he would have done a much better job than what Krillin did. But Krillin's Destructo Disc is definitely a lot more destructive than any move that Tien has. So really, it's all about interpretation. Now, I think because Tien is taller, it would make him harder. It would be easier to like find him, whereas Krillin can like sneak around easier. I'm just kidding around, but
if you're gonna be like that, you might as well call Jesse.
But oh yeah, because Krillin's stronger. But if you look at their heads, I mean, both of them have heads that don't attract hair on, you know.
Like they're very aerodynamic.
We're just having fun, guys. But honestly, I think if Tien went to Namek, and he finished off Vegeta, I think that Tien's personality is a little bit more aggressive than Krillin. I think that if Tien was there and he had the sword instead of Krillin, he would have definitely killed Vegeta, which would have gone into a completely different, I guess you could say, arc than what I was originally saying before, where I actually did a video on what if Krillin actually killed Vegeta instead. But I actually really like this. What if Tien actually survived instead of Krillin? That really changes the series, and I really appreciate you giving me this topic. Alright, take this one, Duct4pe.
What would happen if Captain Ginyu would have switched bodies with Vegeta from Goku's damaged body? I think everyone else would be dead except for actually no, he works for Frieza. Never mind, what am I saying? Yeah, everyone else would have been screwed. That's it.
Yeah, basically, I mean, if you really think about it, one thing that everybody's always questioning is why didn't Captain Ginyu switch bodies with Frieza? If Frieza is that much stronger than me, like Captain Ginyu is like from what I don't remember the exact power level, but I remember reading somewhere he's like less than 1/5 the power of Frieza's base form.
Right? You're really gonna try that when you only have one shot at it, and if you do it and you miss, he knows that you're after him and he will take you out.
I would switch bodies with Frieza in a heartbeat if I was Captain Ginyu. I remember I think in Dragon Ball Z Supersonic Warriors, I don't remember which one it was, or in some game I played, like they had like a what if Ginyu actually switched bodies with Frieza, and that's actually pretty interesting. Like I would have revolted against Frieza if I was Ginyu with an ability like that. Oh my god, take King Cola Frieza's body any day. Who cares if they're in their base forms? You're still way stronger than what they would be in your body.
I have a question. So, how long do you think it would take until, you know, he unlocks the rest of Frieza's forms?
I don't think he could ever probably unlock them, considering the fact that, you know, he wouldn't really know how to use Frieza's body, similar to when he was struggling with Kaioken. But if you really think about it, like, who cares? In Frieza's base form at the point of the show, maybe not so much Vegeta and Piccolo. If Piccolo's not around and it's just maybe Vegeta, Gohan, and Krillin, with the exception of maybe Vegeta, and if we're talking about an earlier Vegeta, it doesn't matter. Frieza is so much stronger than even Goku was when he first got to Namek in his base, in just his, you know, his Kaioken that went against Captain Ginyu form. Frieza's stronger than all of them. So it doesn't even matter. Like, Frieza's so much stronger than all of them prior to their Zenkai boosts. It doesn't make a difference. Frieza could have just wiped them out and it would be the end of the story. So that's why I think it doesn't even matter if he can learn it or not. It's like saying this. If I'm the strongest being, or one of the strongest beings in the universe, without even having to transform, who cares? That's basically what I say.
That's true.
Alright. How long did the Namekians live? Because I know they age fast, but Kami said he was the guardian of Earth for 300 years. That's a very good question, Chance Walker. I see you have some upcoming questions here. The thing is that Blackenfist made a video a very long time ago. I'll probably post a link to it in the description if I can remember. Duct4pe will probably remind me. He talked about like the birds and the bees of the Nameks, and he basically pointed out that there's two types of Nameks. You have the Dragon Clan and you have the Warrior Clan. And Piccolo is a part of the Warrior Clan, and Dende is a part of the Dragon Clan. And essentially, he thinks that both of those two different both of those two different clans kind of are different in terms of how they grow and develop, because warriors are actually, they grow faster because they have to be ready for combat at an earlier age. Whereas with Dende's clan, because they have to be like elders of the village, and because, you know, they have to be around longer, they actually have to stay around more, you know, to actually, you know, reproduce and do all of that. So personally, I think it depends on what type of Namek you're talking about. I think Piccolo would die a lot earlier than Kami, but because he's fused with Kami, who knows how long Piccolo can last. What do you think, Duct4pe?
Well, Kami looked like a raisin. That's what I used to think when I was a kid.
Because of how wrinkly and old he was. Yeah. But anyway, guys, yeah, that's basically my thoughts. That's Kami. Alright. What is Recoom's race from the Ginyu Force? Because he looks just like a human. I made a video on this, and, you know, it was actually, who is the real Recoom in Guldo? And Recoom actually is a complete alien. He's a humanoid, and I'm sure Duct4pe knows exactly what that is. Would you like to explain what a humanoid is?
They're not exactly human, but they've got the basic body structure of a human, like 2 legs, 2 arms. Not even necessarily 2 legs and 2 arms, but like, you know, they vaguely resemble us.
Right. Like, for example, Goku and Vegeta are complete aliens. Like 100% aliens. And Gohan is like half an alien. So you would think that Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta, like, if they walked around town, like, you know, people will obviously say, you know, they look normal. Like, they look like regular people. But a guy like Piccolo, who's just as much of an alien as Goku is, he walks around town and people are, like, creeped up because he's, like, the super green dude. So, honestly, I think, I know for sure that Recoom has a race. It's never been directly mentioned. but Raccoon is definitely not a human. But it's unknown what exactly he is. Alright, overall the years, why doesn't Mr. Satan in GT learn how to fly or shoot an energy blast? Because he's not that type of fighter. He's just a popular figurehead that, you know, basically just likes to make money off of faking that he beat the major villains. Even though, you gotta kind of admit, Duct4pe, Mr. Satan definitely played a role in helping defeat Cell and Majin Buu. And, I mean, if you want to consider all the GT villains, he definitely helped beat them a lot too. So, I mean, you know, with that whole Universal Spirit Bomb, even though a lot of the Earth was destroyed anyway. So, you know, you got to give Mr. Satan some credit. He's done his fair share for the series. And
Yeah.
he almost befriended Majin. Well, he befriended Majin Buu, you know, right before it. So, definitely, Mr. Satan's a good guy. Alright, say this one, Duct4pe.
Okay. Please rate the power of the blast. Kame Gallic, Tri-Beam, Final Flash, Basenko Ha, or Special Beam Cannon.
Well, I see a move here that is by Piccolo, so
Yeah, you should answer that. That's your thing.
Piccolo's Special Beam Cannon owns all. Goku's Kamehameha, what did it do to Raditz? Who's like, Raditz is like the strongest villain in Dragon Ball Z, so like, look what Piccolo's Special Beam Cannon did to him. Alright, I'm just kidding, guys. Honestly,
Like, in the way you're thinking about it, having the names of all of these other things that aren't from Piccolo is just making it weaker.
I'm just kidding, guys. Honestly, with the exception of a Spirit Bomb, because, I mean, even to a degree, a Spirit Bomb, guys, there's no blast that's stronger than another blast. It's just how much energy you put into it. For example, if you use a weak Spirit Bomb that has like a little bit of energy, Goku can shoot a Kamehameha that can be more destructive than that Spirit Bomb. You could say the same thing about if Goku knew Tri-Beam, he would be stronger than Tien's Tri-Beam, and Vegeta's Final Flash from when he used it against Cell as compared to, you know, when he's used it in other points of the series would have also been different, you know. So honestly, it just all depends on how much energy you put into the blast. But if you're asking me how cool the attacks are, I'm going with Special Beam Cannon. What's your favorite attack, Duct4pe?
I'd have to say Spirit Bomb.
You kind of like that huge because it's like so big.
I like the idea of just blowing something up.
Yeah, and just, I mean, that thing is so huge. Like,
Of course, that would be the first thing you think of. Just kidding.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways, moving on from this. What about Rockhead Rumple?
What?
I don't know what that is.
When I hear Rockhead Rumple, I think of that Nickelodeon show from the one where they had that talking temple.
No idea what you're talking about, dude. Moving on. What if Roshi had successfully sealed away King Piccolo with the evil containment wave? Wow. Well, I remember that after Roshi used it, he died. So, if he did, I think they would have just wished him back and that would have been it. I mean, unless King Piccolo can find a way to get out, that would have been a very... You know what? I think you've given me a really good topic. I'm going to go back and really research this because I think you've given me a legitimate topic that can legitimately go into Dragon Ball Z, and it's probably going to be a longer topic because when I do a topic from Dragon Ball, that has such a drastic effect on the change of the series that, you know,
It's changing the entire future.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I do Dragon Ball Z, it's more modern, but thanks for the great topic, bro. Or whoever, if you're a female girl, I guess.
Is there a name on it?
No, this is anonymous. Alright. Hey, Qaaman, have you already seen Superman vs. Goku Death Battle? If so, what's your review about the battle? Explain your reasoning. I don't have to, because Duct4pe can say it for me.
Superman's way too freaking overpowered.
Explain our general thoughts.
Alright, so it all depends on the terrain and the time of day. If they're in like the hyperbolic time chamber, then I think Goku would win because all he has to do is wear Superman out to the point where all of his attacks, you know, become weaker because all of his powers rely on the sun. So take that out of the equation, he's gonna end up being roughly as strong as a regular person. Like, not every Kryptonian was like Superman before they left. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I've talked about this with Blackenfist and Thundershot before, and Rhymestyle, basically all of you, and I've kind of said, I mean, we have a whole video on this on Duct4pe channel, please check that out, but we've kind of talked about, how the fight was a little bit inaccurate in terms of how they used Goku's speed to then judge how he was in the future, and then they judged his endurance based off the filler episode where he picked up the tons. And Blackenfist and I understand that that was really the only way you can legitimately scale it in comparison to Superman. So we don't blame anybody, or I'm sorry, Screw Attack, for actually using the information that they used. But I just feel like it's just not accurate enough, because if you're going strictly by how strong Goku was at other points of the series, I don't think it's just a fair comparison to say that he's that much weaker than Superman. And if we're also going by the sun, I mean, Goku had a chance to beat him in the fight that they created, and he didn't because he was a nice guy and he wanted to beat Superman the right way. But I'm sure Duct4pe and I would both agree that, I mean, they're both astronomically powerful guys, and they would never fight each other in the first place. Like, they're both good guys.
They're both pretty cool.
But, I mean, at the end of the day, I think if Goku and Superman were equal in terms of just strength and speed, I think Goku wins hands down because of his techniques. But that's just with the assumption that they're equal in terms of strength and speed. If we're saying that Superman's just way stronger and way faster, then it doesn't matter how many techniques you have. I mean, for example, who's a more seasoned fighter, Master Roshi or Goten?
Master Roshi.
Right, exactly. Master Roshi's a seasoned fighter. He was the one who taught Goku the Kamehameha. He has more experience fighting than Goten ever would. But Goten, it doesn't matter if Goten is as well of a developed fighter as Master Roshi. Goten has so much more power, it doesn't make a difference, because Master Roshi is so much weaker than him. He would never have the power it takes to be on Goten's level, despite Goten just having way more power and not as much technique as Roshi did. So that's just honestly the way I look at it. Hey Qaaman, have you seen? Yeah, I just answered this question. Alright, Brian Sosa. Okay, you just answered the question again. Alright, thank you. Alright, so base Vegito versus Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta. Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta? I mean, a base form is so much weaker than a Super Saiyan 3 of any sort. I honestly think that depending on what point of the series you're talking about, I'm not saying in Dragon Ball Z, depending on what point of the series you're talking about, Super Saiyan 3 Goku would be stronger than base Vegito. I'm not saying in Dragon Ball Z, but if you're talking about like around Battle of Gods, he's probably stronger than base Vegito at that point. I mean, it's all about how much time passes, but I mean, Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta?
Just mentioning Super Saiyan 3 is like already kind of outclassing him.
Yeah, I think he's way ahead of base Vegito is, like. But, I mean, Super Saiyan 3 Vegito, I think Vegeta would be stronger. Alright. Views on... What?
I was looking at that while you were talking, and I was so confused.
I think he meant views. I think he made a typo. I think he meant views. Views on Town Yamcha Krillin Chaozu.
A lot of mistakes.
Well, I guess he's just mentioning the weaker characters in the series. Views on Town. I don't know what you mean by views on Town.
Is it like how the public sees them?
I mean, they're weaker characters. Chaozu blew himself up for no reason. Duct4pe likes to reference him in so many different ways. Krillin
is stronger. Where's Jesse when you need him?
Krillin's the strongest of the group. Yamcha's the second weakest. I mean, I think that's all we can say here. Alright, what if Goten was in the history of Trunks and when he went back with Trunks? If
that's cool.
If Chi-Chi conceived a child with Goku before he had the heart virus, I actually think this could be a topic. This has been a really good question. I've gotten a lot of good topics today. I think that would have been a lot of a difference. I think that Gohan probably would have been a lot stronger, considering the fact that he would have had his brother and Trunks to train with. Trunks and Goten would have been training with each other a lot more. Considering the fact that, I mean, they would be even closer in age. I mean, probably within a couple months. So I definitely think if Goten was around by that point, I definitely think that they would have probably have beaten Frieza and King Cole even earlier. Maybe they could even solve the android threat, but ultimately I think at the end of the day we could both agree that they would have definitely have gone to the past, just so that, you know, another timeline doesn't have to have all those dead Z fighters. But that's just my honest opinion. Duct4pe, what do you think?
I actually agree with everything you just said. That sounds like the coolest thing ever. I just really like all of these questions that just aren't really covered. Like there's no way you can like look into the history of the videos and just answer the question. I like the ones that you just have to think, you know, just come to your own conclusion with.
Right. Alright, let's see. What if Goten was born in Trunks' timeline and Turles had a child with Bulma and he was as strong as Goten and Trunks? Do you think they would need to go back in time? And if they did, how would they together? How do you think it would affect the show? Well, I mean, honestly, Bulma's way smart enough to create a time machine big enough to take 2 people. I mean, it's not that much intelligent. You just basically make it bigger.
Just add a chair.
Yeah, just add a chair. I mean, you can make it for like 5 people. She's smart enough to do that. In terms of Goten being born in Trunks' timeline, we just answered that question. And also Turles had a child with Bulma. I actually answered that question earlier. I don't think he could. I mean, maybe he could be as strong as Goten, but it's all dependent on training. I mean, the reason why Goten was strong was because he had a lot of natural power. But I mean, if you really think about it, it also depends on who's training you. Like, that's why Kid Trunks was stronger than you know, future Trunks prior to obviously coming back, because even though they would have both been Super Saiyans, the reason why Kid Trunks was way stronger at 8 years old and Trunks was at 8 in the future was because he was around Vegeta. So it all depends on how strong your training partner is, and because future Gohan had limited training, he didn't have as much to offer as compared to guys like Goku and Piccolo. So honestly, I think they could go back in time together, and it would have just solved the same problem that I said before. It would have made it even easier with even more people training. Alright. What if Piccolo learned Kaioken? Will everyone's on Namek? Will everyone's on Namek, and then he used it on Buu in the Buu Saga and had a fighting chance? Piccolo had Kaioken, he would have destroyed Frieza. Because Piccolo's not the type of fighter who likes to toy around and mess with people. Like, for example, a lot of people think that he was toying around with Frieza when he didn't use his like unweighted clothing. But the reason why Piccolo did that is because he was trying to figure out, he kind of plays a mental game, because he thought that was the extent of Frieza's power. So when he took off his weighted clothing, he's like, all right, now it's time to finish this, because he was essentially trying to fool Frieza into maximizing his power in that fight against him, so then when Piccolo took off his weighted clothing, he would just completely dominate him. That's essentially why Piccolo took off the weighted clothing. It was kind of like to psych him out, make him waste up his energy, and finish him off even more efficiently, with even more power that was hidden. So I think if he had Kaioken, I think he would have wiped out Frieza so easily, because Piccolo could have used an instant burst to just completely wipe Frieza out, and if he did, that would have ended the series right there, in my honest opinion. And
you once asked me who, if I could compare Piccolo to any character in the Justice League, who would it be? And I'll say it's Batman. He, like Piccolo, he uses, you know, what he has. He may not be the strongest, but he's easily the most strategic, and he'll use what he has to, you know, fight while he can. So. Right. He's not going to mess around with anyone. He's going to straight up kill them once he gets the chance.
I definitely agree with you, Duct4pe. And, you know, he's not the type of guy who would, like, leave a guy like Frieza around. He wouldn't give him a second chance like Goku. Like, he would finish him off. He understands how dangerous Frieza is to the universe. And by that point of the series, he was a good guy. So I definitely think he would have beaten him. Now, in terms of Majin Buu is so much stronger than Frieza. I mean, with Piccolo around, I doubt that Buu would have been released because of all the events in the series. But you know, you kind of given me a topic, like what if Piccolo killed second form Frieza, and I'll probably have to think about that more in depth. But in terms of Majin Buu is so much ahead of Frieza and Cell. Like, I don't think Piccolo would have been strong enough by that point, but that's just my opinion.
You're getting a lot of good video topics.
Yeah. All right, Duct4pe, please ask this next question.
What kind of question is this?
Go ahead.
Well, you live in Antarctica, right?
Yes.
So, what, frostbite? You could just say you don't have any.
You know, this has been a really funny question. What color are my nipples?
Do you get asked this often?
No, my nipples have hair on them, so that's all you need to know. I'm a... Let's just move on to the next question. Guys who are watching this, you understand how funny some of these questions are. That's one of the funny things about doing Rstyle, because I know that there are going to be some funny questions that somebody just had to ask. Alright, Base Vegeta versus Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta. Me and you already answered that. How much different besides there being less bitchiness among female characters would the series be? I'm already laughing.
Right?
Would the series be if Goku married Suno, the girl from that snowy village in Dragon Ball, instead of Chi-Chi? The only things that I could think might be different is where Goku would live and his sons would be gingers. I mean, because of the hair. I mean, man, it's been so long since I've even remembered Suno. I remember exactly who you're talking about, but wow, that has been a long time. I mean, we don't know enough about her.
Is she scary like Chi-Chi, like behind closed doors?
Really. So I think she would let Goku train him. Gohan would not be as smart. But I mean, if you really think about it, Gohan's intelligence really has not made that much of a difference in the series. Like, in terms of actually changing the scape of the series, Gohan's power has been way more important than his actual intelligence. So honestly, I mean, if she let him train like Chi-Chi, it would be cool, and he'd be a weird-looking Saiyan because his hairstyle would have been completely different. So, I think
this relates to the whole Bulma thing too, because like being with anyone else as his mother, he would have come out, I think, better.
In terms of fighting.
In terms of fighting, like the way Chi-Chi like pushed his education, it never really amounted to anything.
Right. Well, I think that does it for this question here. Alright, we'll probably take a few more. The Great Leviathan versus Zork. Duct4pe, can you please educate me? I don't know who they're referring to.
Why are you asking me? I don't know what the heck this is about.
I don't know. I don't know what Great Leviathan and Zork is, so sorry.
The only great I know is the Great Pumpkin.
Anyways, moving on, can Cell perform the Spirit Bomb? If so or not, explain please. Daniel Arshio. I mean, he did learn Goku's techniques prior to their battle on Namek, and Dr. Dro said they studied the move, so he should have known about the Spirit Bomb. Now, in terms of can he do it, I don't know. It's kind of implied that the Spirit Bomb, you need to have a pure heart to do it. Maybe you need a pure heart of evil to do an evil Spirit Bomb. I mean, the video games, I remember on Dragon Ball Z Budokai, he knew how to do the Spirit Bomb. Jesse believes that Cell knows how to do the Spirit Bomb. I personally don't think he might have been able to do it, but I mean, we honestly don't know. I think it's just all up for interpretation. It's whatever you want in terms of writing, but as far as knowing about, at least being aware of the technique, I'm sure that Cell's Dr. Dro, if he was programming Cell with certain techniques, he should have given him the ability to at least conceive of knowing Spirit Bomb. And if he doesn't know how to do it, he can learn. I mean,
or do something similar at least.
How many moves? I mean, Cell learned how to do instant transmission after he was blown up. I mean, Cell can learn new moves too. Majin Buu can learn moves, so I definitely think he can learn it. Alright. Alright, please read this one, Duct4pe. Please.
Hi, I just wanted to say that I absolutely love your videos. I used to watch them all the time, but for some reason your channel just sort of slipped off my radar. I'm marathon watching videos now. My name used to be Beth Jennings. I don't remember, it might have been all caps.
Well, Beth Jennings, I actually remember you because, I mean, about 6% of my subscriber base, more like 7% of my subscriber base is female. Now, out of 67,000 people, you gotta say that 7% is like at least over 3,000. So I really appreciate that you like my videos, and hopefully you have a lot of fun watching them. I mean, I always, am interested to see what my subscribers have to say about, my channel, my content, my quality, and all of that. So I appreciate you watching my videos, and thanks for getting back into them. Kawhi Leonard versus Paul George Nitro. Okay, I love this topic. Because, I don't get that many sports requests, but I'm a huge NBA and NFL fan. I think that Paul George is way better as an all-around player than Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is a systematic player who shines very well in the Spurs system, because the Spurs don't have a very good perimeter defender to take away a lot of the best players in the NBA. I do think that Kawhi Leonard is a slightly better defensive player, but I think that Paul George is a very good defensive player, and he is astronomically better than Kawhi as an offensive threat, because I remember in Paul George's last season, he averaged like 22 a game. So he averaged like 22 a game. He's one of the best defenders. He can slow down LeBron James. I definitely think that and they're both around the same age too, like 23, 24. They're both really young players. I say Paul George is way better than Kawhi, but Kawhi's no scrub, and he still has a lot more development to do in terms of his offensive game. But I can never see Kawhi Leonard being a 20 to 25 point per game guy. I think his career max would maybe be like 17 to 18 points and blocking people down. Whereas with a guy like Paul George, I think his ceiling is a lot higher. I think Paul George can be a 25 point per game guy while still being a lockdown defender, and I think that's why Paul George is a much better player.
I don't like the Pacers or the Spurs, so I can't say anything else.
You only like the 76ers, so just be quiet.
Yeah, it's a good laugh.
Yeah. What is the Dragon Block C server IP? No clue. You're gonna have to ask Rhymestyle for that. I mean, I plugged it in once when Rhymestyle was telling me, but I really don't know off the top of my head when I was reading this. So, I apologize, but if I remember, I'll ask Rhymestyle to open it up. But it doesn't really matter anyways, because there's a new Dragon Block Xenoverse series coming out, and Rhymestyle is gonna expand it for everybody anyway. So that's a Rhymestyle question. Hey Qaaman, your channel has really made me curious when watching the show again, so I was wondering if you could answer, or perhaps even do a video on what if Gohan had awoken his inner power before the Cell Saga, and just how powerful was King Cole? Could Super Saiyan Goku take him on in the Frieza Saga? Okay. Very good question. Very, very good question. I have to say that if Gohan had awoken his inner power, meaning Super Saiyan 2 before the Cell Saga, it would have been... if we're talking if he unlocked it, like, in terms of mastering it, Cell would have been dead so long ago. I mean, but then again, he could have toyed around with him. You remember, the whole situation was at hand where he kind of just got the power in the middle of the fight. So, he just kills the Cell Jr. and, like, he's so brand new with it, that he's kind of, like, messing around with Cell. I think if he, like, practiced it and, like, harnessed it, he would have just, completely have wiped Cell out, like, way before time, because his whole purpose would have been to stop him. But then again, Gohan's not much of a fighter. He can fight, but he's not a fighter. So I think he could beat Cell, and I think it would have turned out a lot differently. In terms of Gohan awakening his... in terms of Goku taking on King Cole in the Frieza Saga, I did a video talking about how did future Goku defeat Frieza and King Cole, because you remember in Trunks' timeline, there was no future Trunks to come and kill Frieza and King Cole. So Goku actually managed to defeat them. We never saw how he did it, but we assumed that he did, and we assumed that he killed them. We know for sure that he killed them because, Earth would have obviously have been destroyed, and nobody would have been strong enough to stop him besides Goku. So, with that said, Super Saiyan Goku was definitely strong enough to take him on in the Frieza Saga. Now, I don't know how strong King Cole is compared to Frieza. I personally think he could be stronger, considering the fact that his physiology looks similar to Frieza's in his second form. So King Cole could have been way stronger than what we saw. But at the same time, if we look at it from the perspective of the Trunks Saga, where Trunks came, Goku would have been stronger than King Cole, even if King Cole probably transformed in the Trunks Saga. But on Namek, I don't think King Cole stands a chance. Alright, take this one, Duct4pe.
What if Goten and Vegeta's daughter had a child? Okay, like, they'd have a child. What? Hey, what more? What more? It could be a boy or a girl. What more do you want?
I mean, yeah, I mean, they could be a fighter, they couldn't be a fighter. I mean, considering that, Goten probably had a child, we don't know. I mean, he was so into women, we doubt that he probably didn't have a kid with a woman. And Vegeta, I mean, I'm definitely sure that he had it. Wait, Vegeta has two kids. I mean, Bulla or Trunks must have had a child to have Vegeta Jr. in Dragon Ball GT if we're going by GT. So, I mean, that's the only way Vegeta Jr. could have been born, because it would have had to have been Trunks or Bulla, because they were the only ones with the Saiyan gene to carry it on. So, I definitely think that they did have a kid.
I'd like to see Vegeta do the whole overprotective dad thing. Like looking at him from behind the window, like, I'm going to exterminate you.
Well, Vegeta was overprotective with Bulla in GT. If I remember correctly, there was a scene where like some guys were driving around with Vegeta in a car.
Oh, right.
And he threw him off the road. That was a funny scene. What he did was he drove next to them. He ripped out the steering wheel and threw it away.
Creative. I'll give him that.
As a matter of fact, Duct Tape, after this, check out my video, Can Pan and Bullet turn Super Saiyan, to see that scene that I showed. I made sure I showed that scene. Alright, let's see. Do you think you could put together a top 10 best fights in Dragon Ball Z? You can even include Dragon Ball. I think it's a very debatable topic that requires deep analysis from you or Blackenfist. Blackenfist and I have been planning this video for about over a year now. The reason why it's not come out is because we think this should be like an ultimate video type of thing. I've been switching my lists around for so long. We're like trying to come up with like a legitimate way to like gauge how we just put the fights together, because fights are so subjective. But I definitely think it's a video we're gonna do. Duct Tape, would you ever do a top 10 fight of any type besides just Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah. I'm thinking of doing one for Hunter x Hunter.
Okay. And what about comic books, since that's the primary thing of your channel?
Comic books. I'd have to choose some Justice League and Avengers versus X-Men. The fights in that were good. There's just so many.
Yeah. But I mean, for comic books, Duct Tape, I'm sure you have to make a decision if you're gonna go with the comic, the anime adaptations, the movies, because there's so many different ways. I mean, a comic book fight can never be as good as an animated fight. Like, it just can't be. I mean, it could look great for comics, but it just doesn't give the same feel seeing people moving around and.
Yeah, seeing them in action is just so amazing.
Yeah, but yeah, this is definitely a video that we're gonna do. Probably for Dragon Ball Z, for a channel that's primarily Dragon Ball Z oriented. Doing a top 10 fights is like probably the first video I ever thought about doing. I thought about it before I even did my first Dragon Ball Z segment. Do you like Eminem? I'm Elster, by the way, Rit Big previously, and I did a video inspired by you. Big respect. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, bro. Yeah, I like Eminem. I think he's a pretty solid rapper. He's personally not my favorite. I listen to all types of music, rap, hip-hop, rock, a lot of oldies. I mean, I really like to listen to a lot of old school music from like the 70s and the 60s and the 50s. So I really like all types of music, and I think Eminem's very solid. I think his lyrics are almost genius, in my opinion. Alright, yeah. Who's stronger, Omega Shenron or Whis? It's kind of like saying who's stronger, Super Saiyan 4 Goku or Super Saiyan God Goku. If Dragon Ball GT is a legitimate continuation of Z, Omega Shenron is stronger. If Dragon Ball Z is not a legitimate continuation, and Battle of Gods and Dragon Ball GT are two completely different universes, and GT is just like fake compared to what fans say, Whis is way stronger. So I guess you could say, based off of the evidence, Whis would be stronger. But if GT takes place afterwards, it doesn't make any sense for Goku's power level to downgrade. Which would then mean Omega Shenron should be stronger, because Omega Shenron was stronger than him. So that's just my honest opinion. Alright, favorite NFL player. Adrian Peterson is my favorite player in the entire league. But Cameron Wake is my favorite player on the Miami Dolphins.
Really?
Yes.
I think mine's Tim Tebow. Purely because I got to meet him.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, you told us how you met Tim Tebow. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, in New York.
Alright, so let's take Well, I actually want to finish off with that, with the sports question all the way at the top. So let's finish up with that. What if Future Trunks finished rebuilding his future and decided to stay with the Z Fighters? How do you think Battle of Gods and GT would go? Why would he want to stay in the present? I mean, it's kind of like, why leave what you came from? Like, that's his future. I don't see why he would have stayed. So honestly, I don't think I can answer this. But I think if he did stay with the Z Fighters for whatever reason, maybe bringing Future Bulma back, and they just live in the present because it's a much better place. I say that, I mean, the Boo Saga would have been easier because with Future Trunks around, that would have solved a lot of things. And I kind of did a video on what if Future Trunks came back, which kind of goes into this. And Battle of Gods, I mean, he would have made no difference because Beerus and Whis were so much stronger at that point. GT is different, but I mean, the main difference would be that Kid Trunks and Future Trunks being around each other really makes a difference because they're kind of like the same person but from two different timelines. So I think that can definitely make a difference on the way he grew up too. But there's no direct answer, and I would have to think about it though. But I just don't see him living with them. What if Gotenks went Mystic instead of Gohan? I mean, I don't know. I mean, Gotenks had the power to defeat Majin Buu 2 just as much as Gohan did. He was just messing around and then he ran out of fusion time. I think that, I mean, even though they said that they were equal in power, I feel like if Gotenks took the fight serious, he could have beaten Buu. There were times where he completely obliterated Buu's body and he could have done a strong attack to finish him off, but he didn't do it because he was a kid. I personally think that if Gotenks went Mystic instead of Gohan, I mean, we don't know their potential. I personally think Goten and Trunks could have more potential than Gohan, based off of the fact that they can turn Super Saiyan so young, and I'm going to do a video with who has more potential, Goten or Gohan. But in my honest opinion, I say that Goten is actually, I'm sorry, and I think that Gotenks could have been a lot stronger, but I just think it's unnecessary considering the fact that they could have beaten Buu anyways. Base Vegeta, what were you gonna say, Duct4pe?
If they went Mystic, right? Wouldn't they still have to like separate at some point?
Yeah, but I mean, they're just talking about the power. Like, he's saying like Goten and Trunks get their power unlocked and then they fuse.
I mean, I know, but when you think about it, 30 minutes of Mystic is kind of useless.
Well, no, Duct4pe. He's saying Goten and Trunks would be Mystic, and they just fuse into a fused Mystic form.
They'd both be Mystic.
Right, okay. That's what he's trying to say. Because it doesn't make sense. Why would you just want to get stronger for 30 minutes? You know they're going to blow a realm to time. Alright, Base Vegeta versus Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta. We answered this like 3 times. And let's talk about this final sports question. What do you think of the Raja and Rondo trade? I think this definitely improves Dallas in terms of bringing a defensive point guard to their front line. They understand that the NBA is ultra competitive right now when it comes to point guard, because that's like the most talented position right now in terms of having so many good players play that position, that they need a guy like Rondo to kind of keep them competitive, because whenever really good point guards like Lillard, John Wall, Russell Westbrook come into town, they're just going to completely shit over whatever point guard they had. I believe they had Jameer Nelson and some other guy, some no-name point guard who nobody cares about, but essentially, and before that they had Jose Calderon. So honestly, I think that they understood that Rondo would have definitely have given them the edge, and in terms of his ability to create shots for his teammates, Rondo's one of the best at that, if not the best, at being a pure point guard. So I think that that really improves Dallas, and it takes off a lot of pressure from Monte Ellis in the backcourt. Alright, and what do I think about Majin Buu versus Kirby Khan? Majin Buu was, I mean, we already did a whole video on this. You know what? Fine. Let's answer with the very next question, Duct4pe. I'll let you take it. The Goku backwards question.
Goku backwards is Ukog. This confirms that everything but Dragon Ball Evolution is, oh hell no. Next question. I spent like were you there when I told Jax Blade that I accidentally rented Dragon Ball Evolution?
No, I don't think so.
I tried my best to get my money back and I couldn't, so I had to wait.
Well guys, if you've gotten to this point of the video, since we're basically ending off with this horrible question,
delete the one above it too.
Yeah, just cap locks. I want you guys to say in the comment section, if you've seen this whole thing, we've been talking for a while, please put hashtag Dragon Ball Evolution is the greatest movie of all time.
Why
Put Dragon Ball Evolution, DB Evolution, the GOAT. That's all I want you guys to say, just for comical relief, just to have a little bit of fun, guys. I know you guys don't think it's a good movie. I made a quick video explaining my ultimate thoughts on it. It's a piece of shit movie, but you know what? At the end of the day, they made whatever money they did, and they just made all of us Dragon Ball fans just hate.
Except that they might make a second one.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, that's basically been it for today. Please check out Duct4pe's channel in the comment section below, and please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys, and thank you for watching this over 9,000 questions questionnaire.
Peace.